healing the spiritual as a spiritual person. Now, healing the spiritual, if you're a spiritual person and disconnected from your spiritual, is going to be the most important work that you can do, because all of your guidance and understanding about who you are, about where your answers come from the spiritual world. And if you don't trust it, or you don't have a deep connection to it, or perhaps you were raised by people who didn't believe in it, it's going to be somewhat challenging for you to create in the way that you know you're here to create, and to do in the way you know you're here to do. And you may feel physically exhausted by being expected to operate like everybody else. And so a connected spiritual trusts in spirit every single time. When spirit gives a message or a knowing, they do what they are asked to do. There's no question. There's no trying to understand it. There's no need to check in. They just know because spirit told them. And so a wounded spiritual is not only going to not know that that's real or not, but they may not even receive the message. And they may not receive the message from the intuition because their belief system has been set up in a way that tells them it's not real. And so they disconnect from the possibility to receive messages from that higher dimension. And so a wounded spiritual is going to feel like they can't connect to their intuition. They don't know how to. They don't know how to believe it. And they're going to look outside of self for answers because they know that their spiritual higher self has them. And they look to other teachers, or they say, well, this person's spiritual is connected, so they'll maybe be able to tell me, rather than their own knowing within themselves. And so the goal for a spiritual person is to reconnect back to themselves, to get answers within themselves first. And so a wounded spiritual, while they're disconnected, they will start taking actions in another way. They're going to, if they're male, they may focus on the mental and physical work. They may go do physical labor jobs. They may try to do mental jobs, but it's going to be exhausting and feel wrong. And so that's going to be a challenge for them to recognize that's not the work for them. That's not what they're here to do. And the emotions that they feel are going to overwhelm them if their spiritual self can't give them the message of what the point of that experience was. And so the spiritual person needs to first work on healing this disconnection from self. And this disconnection from the spiritual self can come from all kinds of places. It can come from a disconnection in childhood. It can come from a belief that those things aren't real. It can come from being so different than everybody else that you tried to mask and model what you thought was going to make you successful and connected. It can be about the seeking of this other person that you can see you and feel you, and so you change yourself enough to be the person you think you would be desirable to be. And so when you can find what that was, what caused you to believe that you needed to be disconnected from self? What caused you to feel that you would be unlovable if you were yourself? What caused you to believe that you are not able to ever find anybody to understand you if you were yourself? And when you can find the origin of that, and you can love that person, and you can remember that you were a child trying to experience a physical world as somebody who is not a physical being at your core. And if you can love yourself and honor the experience and know that you were here to have a physical experience, and now it's time to bridge in that spiritual connection so that you can be the messenger and guide for others, it's going to be a lot easier to start to recognize and reconnect so that you can start to follow spirit. That belief that spirit is your guidance is your guiding light. That knowing that you are deeply connected to whichever spirit realm feels truest to you is going to be how you can know that your guidance is true for you. Every spiritual person is going to have a different way this looks. Every spiritual person is going to have a different tool that feels truest and best for them. There's no one right way to be a spiritual person. Only the truth that you are deeply connected to your intuition as your guidance, and that you're knowing that you are here to bridge in information from spirit into the rest of the collective is all that you need to trust. Your spiritual self knows the rest of the journey, not myself. I will see you in the next video.